Dragon Rex, Forever Friends, is a gentle and humorous story about a friendship between a dragon and a T-Rex. They have different personalities, but together they figure out positive ways to face the challenges in their lives. Welcome to the Kids Bookshelf. I'm Dan Skinner. Ahead, we'll explore the book, and I'll talk with the author about the inspiration behind it. I requested and was provided with a copy of the book, but this video is not sponsored. A little bit about the author. Susan Lubner is the author of the middle grade novels Lizzy and the Good Luck Girl and The Upside of Ordinary, as well as several picture books. She joins us to talk about her early reader chapter book, Drag and Rex, Forever Friends. Susan, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, Susan, tell us about what inspired this new Drag and Rex chapter book series.
Well, typically I like to write what I'm reading. And I think at the time when these little story ideas were sparked, I'd been reading a lot of my favorite emergent reader books or early reader books, Frog and Toad by Arnold Lobel and Mo Willems' Elephant and Piggy series. And I really love the simplicity of the storylines. I think they're just so sweet and they're so universally relatable. You know, how to make soup or looking for a lost button. And really, that's how the inspiration came about, just reading a lot of my favorites.
So for what age group would you recommend this series?
Well, Drag and Rex Forever Friends is for ages 6 to 8. But of course, readers who are reading a little bit early, 5-year-old, might enjoy this. It's also beautifully illustrated by Blythe, and so a parent could certainly read to their child. It's easy text and easy storylines to understand. And it does go up to 8, but then of course, I know 8-year-olds that are reading Harry Potter, so it might not be for all 8-year-olds, but certainly for those that are just stepping into the independent reader situation with books.
Now, this is an illustrated book, but it's not a picture book because it's for older kids. And you mentioned that this is the kind of book that adults may be reading to children or with the children. So I'm wondering if you keep both of those audiences in mind when you craft your stories.
For this story, I really was keeping in mind the independent reader when I was thinking about word choice and sentence length and storylines. And even the characters. It does have illustrations, but it truly is an emergent reader format. And I think that definitely that's where my focus was. I think with picture books, there's a lot more consideration about something we call page turn and the real close relationship that the text has with illustrations. And that certainly was a consideration a little bit with this, but it's not as heavy with illustrations. It's a little bit less than a picture book. But so yes, I mean, I definitely look at it and consider it when I was writing it as something that would be read independently.
So I've got to ask about the choice of characters here. You have a dragon and a T-Rex. So what was the thought process behind making those your characters?
Well, that's a good question because it took me a long time to figure out, who these characters were going to be. I played around with a lot of different ideas and pairings. And then I took a step back and thought, well, instead of what I want to see as characters, what would readers really like to see? And readers really love dinosaurs and they really love dragons. And so do I. So I thought, hey, that's a unique pairing. And that's how that came about.
Drag and Rex have very different personalities. So tell us a bit more about them.
Well, Drag is sort of this impulsive, sometimes a little scatterbrained. He is very literal. And his buddy Rex is a lot more thoughtful, a little bit more pragmatic and and sort of not as impulsive, more serious, considers things more carefully. So they really do have opposite personalities, but they have just the right things in common so that they can have this great friendship and it's a success. Things like being considerate and cooperating with each other. So their friendship definitely works in spite of all of the differences.
So, Susan, tell us about the story that readers will find here in Forever Friends.
Well, there are 3 stories in the book, and each story has 3 chapters that are sort of, they actually read like little stories, but they build upon each other as a complete story. The first story is called Full of Surprises, and the second story is called Winter Fun. And the last story is called Scary Story. The full of Surprises is about Drag and Rex making a surprise for a friend, and it doesn't go as according to plan originally. Winter Fun is getting ready for a snowy day. And the Scary Story is Drag is reading something that really scares him, and Rex is there to see him through it. So I'm happy to read one of the chapters or one of the stories.
Please do.
Sure. I will start from the beginning and I will read Full of Surprises, Chapter 1, Breakfast Buddies. In a small house, but big enough for a T-Rex and a dragon, tucked far inside the big woods, lived 2 great friends. "Why are you staring at the eggs?" Drag asked Rex. "I don't know what to make for breakfast," Rex answered. He closed the refrigerator door. "I'll help you decide," said Drag. "I'm good at deciding." Rex would have raised his eyebrows in surprise if he had eyebrows. Instead, he smiled politely. "I will fry the eggs." "But you fried eggs yesterday," said Drag. "Then I will boil them." "That takes too long," said Drag. "Fine, I'll have cereal." "Boring," said Drag. He pretend snored, and a flame shot out from his nose. The loaf of bread on the counter turned to ashes. "I guess I won't be making French toast," Rex said with a sigh. "I know. I'll make blueberry pancakes." "Nope," said Drag. "Why not?" "Because I ate all of the blueberries." "I don't like plain pancakes," Rex grumbled. "Oh, I know that, but you love chocolate chip pancakes," Drag reminded him. "Yes," said Rex. "Chocolate chip pancakes will be very tasty." Drag hugged his head. "But I ate all of the chocolate chips, too." Rex crossed his tiny arms. Drag crossed his big arms. "Let me think," said Rex. "I'll help you think," said Drag. Said Rex. Said Drag. After a while, Rex finally said, "I'm not eating breakfast." "Why not?" Drag asked. "Because it's time for lunch." "Peanut butter?" Drag grinned. "I'll get the jelly."
Susan, I'm curious, this is the first book, so are there some overarching themes or ideas that you want to explore as the series goes along?
So, I actually never write with the intention of any kind of lesson or anything like that. I just sort of try to just tell a story. But I suppose I think readers can take away a different message, if you want to call it. But I guess the theme of this really would be how 2 people or 2 friends can have a lot of differences and still have a great friendship, find the things they have in common, or just be respectful of those differences and make the friendship work. I think kids are obviously navigating new friendships in their everyday life at school and wherever. And I think an important theme for this book could be that you make friends with lots of different kinds of people. And those are really great friendships. We can all learn from each other.
Forever Friends is the first book in this series. Can you tell us about the next book?
The second book will be out next fall, and that book is called Sweet and Silly. And it really is, I think, pretty silly. I think the stories are a little bit funny and goofy, but that story has in it one about Valentine's Day surprise. And then we have a second story called Oodles of Noodles, which is pretty silly, involves a misunderstanding and a little mistake made in the kitchen. And then the third story, oh my gosh, I can't remember what the third story is. Wait, the story, right. Well, how appropriate, because that one is about forgetting something. And that was probably based on my penchant for forgetting everything all the time. And that is really a funny story. And it's about when Drag can't remember something and Rex, and I didn't do that on purpose, really did forget. Rex helps or tries to help Drag remember what the important thing is that he has to tell him. So yeah, we're just working on that now with the art.
Susan, what advice would you have for someone who's interested in becoming a children's book author?
Well, there are a couple things. I think I think you should read a lot of what you're interested in writing. I've actually written and published picture books and middle grade novels, and now this emergent reader. And whenever I have, like I said, an interest in something tends to lead to writing it, but read whatever you're interested in writing. If you're interested in writing middle grade, read a ton of middle grade novels and sort of try to figure out what it is you like about certain books and what doesn't work for you in others. I think it's really important to have a great network of other people that are trying to write, joining a writers group, a local writers group, also becoming a member of an organization that's called SCBWI, the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. They offer so many wonderful resources. Those are the top three things that I would say.
Well, this book is Drag and Rex, Forever Friends by Susan Lubner and illustrated by Blythe Russo. It's the first book in a planned series of Drag and Rex books. Susan, thank you very much for talking with me today.
Thank you so much.
Now, if you'd like to purchase Drag and Rex, Forever Friends, I've placed a link for you in the description below. Well, thank you for watching this edition of the Kids Bookshelf. And if you'd like to see more videos about children's books and their authors, be sure to subscribe, like, and click on the bell to be notified about future programs. I'm Dan Skinner. Until next time, keep sharing the gift of reading.